Hi everybody, it's Sally from Sally Stampers. Thank you for joining me today. Today I am bringing you this quite simple but quite effective gift box, and it is for a pack of pencils. So inside I have a simple pack of colouring pencils. Now anybody that follows Pootles will have noticed that I gifted her a pack of these at our recent retreat and packaged them up fairly similar, and to be honest, I just thought that this would make a great stocking filler for children, a nice little party gift, anything like that. But it obviously is really easy to make, and as I say, you get these packs of pencils that are fairly inexpensive but come in this, it's not really nice to give somebody, is it? So let's make up a nice little box, and that's what we do when we're paper crafters. So I've gone with the Follow Your Art DSP. I'm sure I've mentioned before that this and the Crushed Curry ribbon is the only part of the Follow Your Art suite that I have. I just didn't purchase the rest of it. I loved the paper, I loved the ribbon, but I wasn't bothered with anything else, and so I use what I have, which is what most crafters do. And so I've obviously used a Crafting Forever stamp set and some of the beautiful Bermuda Bay mini striped ribbon on the bottom there. But as I say, a fairly simple box, using up stuff that I have, not necessarily a whole suite of something. So that's it. Let's get making it. So, to start off with, you're going to need a sheet of cardstock that is 9 1/4 by 7.5 inches, and in centimetres that is 24 by 19.5. If you watched my video on Saturday, you will be aware that I showed you this beautiful new paper trimmer. So today I'm going to use it and give it its first exclusive usage on here. So on the short side then, we are going to score at 3 inches, 3.5 inches. And I need to put my arm out for this one. 6.5 inches, so we get to use that lovely mark there. 6.5 and 7 inches. And then on the long side, we need to score at, I'm gonna do it this way, because it's easier with a short measurement to do it that way. So I want to mark 3/4, and I've just realised I haven't done my my short sides in centimetres, so I'll start again. So on the short side we score at 3, 3.5, 6.5 and 7, and in centimetres that will be 7.5, 9, 16.5 and 18. On the long side we're going to score at 3/4, which is 2 centimetres. Then we're going to score at 1 1/4, which will be 3.5. And then we're going to score at 8 3/4, which is 22.5 centimetres. Okay, take this beautiful new trimmer away. Don't need it anymore. And then obviously, as you know, we're going to fold and burnish these beautiful score lines that I have just made with my new trimmer. They are quite thin and narrow, these score lines in these bits, so obviously just be a bit careful with them. You don't want to sort of crease them the wrong way, because as I say, they are quite narrow and close together. Okay. Now before I do any more, I'm actually going to stick my DSP on. I know it's a rarity for me to do it this way, but I just am. So again, I'm using, as I say, the beautiful Follow Your Art. So pop that one on there. And then the same. And obviously, because these sides are so narrow, I've not added DSP, because I just think, to be honest, it would be that narrow, it would just look silly. So I've just stuck with front and back. And as you can see, obviously, if you've got a pattern running that this one has, obviously this one didn't really have, because everything's different ways. But if you do have a pattern running, the top is where your 2 bits are. So you've got one piece at the bottom here and two at the top. So the two at the top is the top. Okay. And then on the bottom, we're literally just going to cut up these two tabs here, and then your far right tab we're going to cut away completely. So we've literally just cut those. And then at the top, we're going to cut away the long one and the small one. So we're just left with that one strip there. Then with this one, we're going to cut across the top of that small square, because as you know with my sayings, that's going to become your shoulders. Okay, and then I'm just going to tuck that in and use my big scissors, because I want to cut across the whole piece of that one. And then again cutting down to cut that piece away. Again cut down past that first score line, and then across the top, because we need another shoulder piece here. And then on this very last piece here, just some very slim wedges off the sides, just there. And that's that bit done. So now we need to just add some tear and tape. And I know since I last did my videos, I still haven't cleaned my scissors, so they're still sticky. It's a time thing, you know, I just don't have time. I want to craft, not clean. Okay, so strip of tear and tape across that long piece there. And then because this is going to be the front, okay, I'm going to put tear and tape across this piece as well. And that obviously will be across the bottom. That will hold the base in place. And then before I do adhere it together, 1/2 inch circle punch, just to take that little noggin out of the top. So there's just a nice little thumb notch there. And then we can take the backing off here. No, I don't want that bit of fluff there, thank you. And then I'm just going to fold that over and fold that over, and there it lines up. Now, I did have a lady comment on one of my videos asking me how I work out the sizes for my projects or products that I'm making. So for example, how have I worked out this box for these pencils? And it's really quite simple. If I move my grid paper up slightly, so all I've simply done is placed my pencils on my grid paper. So I know that they are 3 inches wide and just a shy bit over 7, but I want to give it a little bit of space, so I'm going to go 7.5. So I get a piece of paper, which I've got just here, if I can get rid of everything else. So I've got some scrap paper here, and this is a really quick and easy way. So I draw, those are my pencils, so it's 3 inches wide, and it's, as I said, I'm going to go 7.5 inches high. I then measure how deep the box is, and I'm going with this one being 1/2 inch. So again, there's my box for that. I need a 1/2 inch at the side for one side. Then I obviously need that same thing again for the back. I need another side, and then I need a tab which will sit on the side there. So I have a 3, a 1/2 inch, a 3, a 1/2 inch, and that tab may as well be 1/2 inch. It doesn't need to be any thicker. That's how I work out the width. The height, again, obviously we've got that design. I already know they're 1/2 inch thick, so that's how thick the bottom part's going to be, which is, half. This is 7.5 inches high. The top, again, is going to need a 1/2 inch. And then I don't quite want a 1/2 inch because it's not quite big enough. So that's when I measured and went for 3/4 of an inch for the lid. And then obviously you just have your shoulders there. And that's really how I work it out. I hope that was as clear as mud to you, because that's how I generally work things out. But you just go on the size of your project, how thick it is, and then you work out which way works for it. So let's put these pencils in here now I've got it. So they just slide in there, and then this sits nicely on the top, and it'll stay together because those wedges weren't massive, okay? So then I just need to decorate it. So I've got my seam binding ribbon here, and this one, I have to confess, I did it so easy. So I simply got a piece of tear and tape, roughly that size, and popped it on the middle there. I then got my ribbon, laid on the top, and just measured how much I would need. So there. And then I took the backing off, and then just making sure it's straight. Is that straight? It's hard to see from this angle. I folded this end over and attached it to there, and then I gave this one just a gentle pull just to make sure that ribbon's taut, and lined that piece up there. And then obviously you can just very gently slide that ribbon to make sure it's level. And then to cover this bit up, I just folded, sorry, to do the tails, I folded a piece of ribbon over like this, cut the tail pieces, and then I did actually use glue dots. So I used one glue dot there to hold those two in place, and one just on the back to tuck over the centre part there. So that sits nicely there. And then I used, as I said, my Crafting Forever stamp set, some Whisper White here, and I've got my Crafting Forever stamp already on my block. I just realised my grid paper's still wonky. There we go. So then just with my crushed curry, I'm just going to stamp that on there. Oh, it's got a bit of an ombre effect. I clearly need to excuse me, re-ink it. And then I have my classic label punch, and to get this effect here, crushed curry, this is actually the strip that I cut off my A4 cardstock that was left over, and it is just wide enough for you to pop one of those out, literally just wide enough. And then for this one, what I've done is I've popped my piece of cardstock in, and as you can see I've gone close over to the left hand side, which is my intention. Pop that out, and then I've gone back in with this one, which I'm sure you've seen numerous times, but anybody that's new to crafting, I've fed this back into my punch. It's just a little bit fiddly, but once you're there, you're there. Line it back up with the top and bottom and decide wherever you want it. I think that's just about lined up. Punch it out, and it'll obviously take that excess off, and then it will now sit very nicely on top of that one, and you've got the same pattern. So I'm just going to pop some snail onto there, pop this one in place, and I just obviously need to make sure it's level. And then I've got some dimensionals here I'm just going to stick on, obviously giving it a little bit of space for that ribbon. And then it just sits over the top of all the adhesive of the ribbon, which hides the whole mess, but perfectly sits nicely. And there they are, my lovely pencils gift box. Hope it's given you some ideas for Christmas and have given you some ideas to start looking. Hope you have a great day, and I hope to see you all again soon. Bye!